In my previous upload, part 1, I discussed the actual events that occurred prior to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that those events had nothing to do with homosexuality. Part 2 will address the words man and mankind, Leviticus 20th chapter 13th verse and 18th chapter 22nd verse. The first thing I want to point out is the Bible was written in another language. It was translated into English, and some of the words that we use today had different meaning in the original text. I am positive that Moses never used the word homosexuality because Moses didn't speak English. And because the Bible was written in another language, some of the words that we read today were different. And I think it's very important to find a way to understand what those terms meant. And one of the things that I use, a tool that I use, is a Hebrew Greek concordance. It's been very important as far as understanding the origins of words, but I've also had to use other tools along with that. With that said, in the original text, the words man and mankind have separate meanings, and the words man and mankind are different. And some of the Jewish Orthodox Bibles use the word ash instead of man. And the word ash or ish is defined as a man of high degree. Mankind is defined as a sakar, and these words mean boy. So the original text, or the text in its original form, means a grown man or a man in authority should not have sex with a boy or one of a lesser class or status. There are other Bibles, like the German Bible, that also define the word mankind as different than the word man. It means, mankind means a boy. So after I read these things, I started to wonder how many children would be sexually abused if Leviticus were taught based on its original form. And why is it still being taught as a matter of two grown people engaging in same-sex relationships? I can understand the discussion of fornication, but to demonize grown people who engage in same-sex relationships because they are of the same gender, I'm not understanding where that comes from. What biblical texts support that theory? I was reading a book called Ancient Egypt in 101 Questions it's Ancient Egypt 101 Questions and Answers by Thomas Schneider. And a segment of the book talks about a same-sex couple who apparently were permitted to be married. The name of this couple was Nanaka Kanam, and the other gentleman is Kanama Hatafa. They were workers in the temple. They could have been priests, or they could have been, a lot of other things. But the names are not Greek. These names are African names, and they were in African Egypt, because Afro-Egypt was around thousands, maybe even more years before the Greeks came along. Some texts state that they were brothers, but the images on the tomb, they appear to embrace each other, and not in a brotherly manner. In the background are the images of their wives and their children. And this is the reason, or one of the reasons, why I'm convinced the text regarding man and mankind were instructions for governing the relationship of men in positions of authority towards boys or subordinates. You say a captain does not engage with a private. A grown man does not have sex with a boy. I was thinking about the Creator, God, the intelligent force that created the universe, giving a command to Moses to throw rocks at people who disobey the law. And I just figured, I can't imagine that the creator of the universe would ever tell anyone to do that. But then I would get a bag of rocks and throw it at a child molester. I think I might do that. I could see myself doing that if I lived in that kind of civilization, but not throwing rocks at grown people who want to live their grown lives, and are not hurting anyone or any child, violating someone's rights. It seems to me that the creator of the universe would inspire someone to make laws to protect the least among us. It seems to me that the creator of the universe would create laws that would give protection to the poor. So the writer of Leviticus is saying grown men should not have sex with boys. And it sounds so right. It sounds so right. My next upload will be from the book of Romans. The topic will be what is natural. And that is another favorite of people who denounce same-sex relationships. I've had conversations with some, and they're so passionate, because the words of what they see in the Bible. And they're like, you don't understand. Paul said it's not natural. It's not natural for a man to be with a man and a woman to be with a woman. It's just not natural. God said be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. And I'm like, ooh, okay, well, there are women and men who are unable to conceive. So I don't think that's what Paul was referring to. So we'll take a look at that in the next upload. Thank you for listening. If you like biblical topics and you have information to share regarding this topic, please comment.